Thank you, boy. Sean. And again, Joel Gamis, and then FTI being given an opportunity to kind of share the two with you. Would like to say that the conference held in 1972 was the one that gave up idea to start understanding what was happening to the planet. After 50 years today, we are thinking about what has been done and what can we do to do better. Our intervention today will focus more on the issue of learning, academia. This is why we will remember telling you that after the biggest conference that took place in 1972, that other conferences are taking place. And we need something, CBD. And something that also took place after 10 years in Rio de Janeiro. At this time, the issue of biodiversity conservation started to come up. And then the issue of sustainable development started to come up. Of course, we will say before these conferences, we were not talking about managing forests. But the issue of sustainability started to surface, meaning that taking our time to use the existing resources, but not to use all, because we see that after us, we have our generation to follow. Having said that, we will then focus on the case of FTI, the Forestry Training Institute. The Forestry Training Institute is a training institution that was established in 1976 by Manu River Union. At that time, Manu River Union was responding to the demand of our president at the time. A protocol was signed so that country can be given opportunities to do well in their sector. For the case of Liberia, the opportunity was given for training the member state of MRU coming to Liberia to learn about forest management. At the same time, Liberia also had the opportunity to train people in maritime studies. In Sierra Leone, it was another case. The focus was on custom. In Guinea, it was another case because the focus was mining sector. And lately, when Africa, we call Cote d'Ivoire, John MRU, they were also given opportunities to establish vocational school that were focusing on electricity. Say again.
One more minute.
You are intimidating me. Yes, sorry. So, looking at that, I mean, the idea of providing knowledge to people today, for those who pass here on the panel, they say that the issue of awareness was to be considered. Of course, you can only provide awareness if you are informed. And that information, there were institutions like FTI come into. The plan is to provide knowledge to more people. At the end of their training, we will give more people who will be professionally prepared. Today, FTI is involved into now what we call sustainable forest management through building the capacity or strengthening the capacity of people who have love for forest. love for biodiversity conservation. Let us reduce it by the word we call the lover of nature. Because they love nature, they look at issues that are all related to forest management. In terms of gender, the school is happy today to see that the enrollment of female is increasing every day. From 12 we are now to 50%. We are happy. And then we say that within the 50 years we have spent, after we are informed about what is happening to our planet, at the global level, we have been going out to go look for knowledge. But today, in Liberia, we have institutions that are helping. I was happy when our brother from Washington talked a bit about what they are doing. Also, I was happy to hear from other ministries about people who are going out to acquire knowledge and come back. At FTR, what we did, we know that we cannot reinvent the wheel, we cannot do something that has never been done elsewhere. But rather, we are started going ahead to try to catch up with people. We think we are a little bit behind.
37.
We need to go ahead. Hey God, if I get two, it will be good. So I want to say, based on this, we said to provide more knowledge efficiently to people, we create a program. Currently, we are teaching general forestry and what we call geospatial information science and research. Under that geospatial science and research, we have 5 major programs. The first program had to do with cartography and survey. The second program had to do with GIS application in land administration and governance. The third program has to do with GIS application in climate change and disaster risk management.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Time has spent, okay, so we will still get back to you in question and answer. Okay, my name is Denise Love, and I'm sitting here in the capacity of a female version of the word here. Don't mommy. It's just going to be interactive that it is. So our first speaker catalog, if we catalog all what he said just now, it's all about capacity building. So capacity building in the sense that knowledge to the people is power, and with that, when you are informed, you can be able to raise awareness. Now, let's go to the next speaker, Mr. Cameron.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'll probably just speak like this here. My name is Nuwo James Kiamo, and I come from right behind you here, the Liberia International Christian College. And I think that when people come to Gompa for the first time, and they don't reach to LICC, they haven't seen Gompa. Because when you get to LICC, you will see that we are not only talking integrated education, which is what I want to present, but we are doing integrated education. Our topic, the way I understood it, was that it's directly linked to the Sdg Goals 5 and 15. And I'm very happy. I know that we have said in all of the presentations that we have a lot of challenges in Liberia. But I want to also encourage us to realize that if you look at the literature concerning forestry, the ecosystem, biodiversity in Liberia, I don't think we have very much literature, but we have appreciable literature. And I'd like to say thank you for all of those who are doing that kind of thing. The literature is growing, and we need more research in this area to grow it so that we can know when we are talking about these situations that we can have more literature to count on. When you think about the forest and all of what it contains and what is all about it, including the ecosystem that is within it and climate change and all these things, low carbon economy that we're talking about, a lot of it may be high sounding language. But I think it can actually be made easier and practical if we just encourage and inspire our people to start thinking of moving from the more traditional ways and modes of thinking and patterns of thoughts to more productive and creative ways of doing things. And this is where education comes in. And I think that the function of the university, which I represent, is not to just prepare people and give them pieces of paper as we do in most of Liberia now. We prepare people, give them pieces of paper, we say they have graduated. We need to think of cardinal problem-solving situations that are related to these kinds of things that we are doing. I think that's part of our situation. And we need to integrate all of that into the education that we are doing. And I'm happy that my colleague Joel said something about it, and a brother from Cottonton said something about it, and earlier our sister down there talked something about the education aspect of all of these things. So there's something we can do about it. So let me learn quickly on the LICC experience, because I don't want to make sure that I'm rushed out of my time. The LICC experience is this. LICC is a small private Christian or faith-based institution right back here. Now we have decided that we want to create a miniature society out of which we can train our people to understand what some of the needs of Liberia are. One of the first things I started out with as president of the university, when I got there, I said all this plastic littering was all over the town and even on their campus. So I said, look, you know, we are human beings. We are not animals that don't think. We need to take responsibility. So we push our staff and students to take some responsibility. So we put some policies together, like our own little EPA in there, that takes care of our waste. So when you get there, even me, when you get there, you go to any program at LICC, you throw down. Later, I will come after you and tell you to pick it up. I don't care who you are. I will tell you pick it up and dispose it properly. And we are getting the place clean and nice. Another intervention we are doing that is directly related to the forest management and land use is our agriculture program. I always say there is no university in Liberia right now that can match our our agriculture program. I think we're leading. And so we will invite people to come. Yeah, they say Fanti Mekan say Bonnie Ratty, but look, my Bonnie not Ratty. My Bonnie very fresh. Because what we are trying to do is we are changing people's mind from this shifty cultivation of agricultural practice, and think they can use the same land plot over and over without using artificial fertilizers. You use basically, this is where biodiversity comes in. We use compost, what is right in there, and you grow so that we can have high yield products. We're also dealing with post-harvest situations. Waste management, in another way, we are inviting people all over now. Right now, every day I go on campus and I see people bringing snail shells all over because we are producing animal feed already. And so you bring snail shells. We are not looking for plastics. We are looking for snail shells and anything shells that we will use to produce animal food. So let me just conclude on this note. One of the things that we try to drive the LICC innovation with, because we are faith-based, so it comes from the Bible. And I just wanted to leave something with those who are dealing with a different beach mining thing. If you read Jeremiah chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, you will find out that God already told you why he put sand on the beach long before geologists told us in university. God said he put the sand there so the ocean will not overcome it. So when you begin to take the sand from the beach, you are ultimately undermining God's plan and the ocean will come in. And so our driving force is something we call gears at LICC. We start with godliness. We say we want to be godly in everything we do. We want to be accountable. So accountability is the second leg of the gears. We believe that all of these things we are talking will not work well until you have a Liberia that is accountable, that stops corruption. I haven't heard corruption in all this discussion today. But this is the one killer for everything we are talking here. If we don't get rid of it, everything we are talking here is white people work. Accountability, excellence. So we say godliness, excellence, accountability, and resourcefulness. Liberians should solve their own problems. We're discussing here with the minister, and the minister was saying, these people, they put all kinds of bottlenecks for us to deal with. I agree. But if you can't beat your own drum, somebody who beating it will tell you how to dance it. Right? So we need to be resourceful. We need as Liberians to look at what we have around us here and deal with it so that we can solve our problems one step at a time. It will not be like the West. I always challenge my Western friends, don't push us to be like you. I'm not even interested. That's why every time I come to a meeting like this, they say, best international practices, I say, no, that's not my interest. And my friends don't like it. I say I want best local, best national practices. Let's start from there. International practices, I'm not even there. These people have had centuries to develop what they have developed. You can't push me to get to you where you are now. I'm not interested in that. I want to start with what I can do with what I have here now. And then finally, for resourcefulness, be wonderful stewards of what God has given to you. Thank you.
I know I can do better than that. Did you see the graphic? So it is.
Therefore, I want to make this recommendation to the government, as this platform is designed for us to inject into what Liberia can take to the international level, that the government Environmental Protection Agency needs to work in line with a particular institution that is under GSA, that is the Government Service Agency, the Cooperative Development Agency, that they can work together as team, because the Cooperative Development Agency is an institution that is working with cooperatives, and cooperatives are institutions that group farmers together. My reasons for this recommendation is because I found out and I observed and realized that people are doing shifting cultivations, single farming, that is, which is sustainable farming. And if you see that, probably from Maryland County, you may have about 1,000 people into farming, and then each of them are doing individual farming. Take for instance, you have the 1,000 people doing individual farming. Each of them is maybe cultivating about 1 acre of land. That is, you'll be talking about 1,500 acres that they will be cutting down. And that causes serious effect to the environment. So when we group them together as a cooperative, as farmers working within one institution, we will realize that if farmers will just go to a single spot, maybe 5 acres of land, develop that place, work together, instead of then a person cultivating, let's say farming here, you have another person farming there, seriously is destroying the forest of Liberia, and therefore we cannot have a sustainable farming, forest management if it happens that way. Now, I will make some instances to Maryland County. Now, currently, just before we left, we have the Cooperative Development Agency at Maryland County, in presence of the General Registrar, Madam Sokan Tia, who certificated about 7 cooperatives. So right now, as we speak, we're having 7 cooperatives within Maryland County, both Harper and Plebo. And then, so if we have the Environmental Protection Agency working with the cooperatives, thank you, in order to provide them the requisite mechanism that they need to follow. There is going to be a measure put in place that they will farm on this land and have the knowledge, after farming, that they can afforestate what they have deforested. That will help in that manner. And they are going to grow more food once they are working together, because even the Swedish ambassador talk about unity, that is, farmers need to unite and work together so that they will not keep destroying our forests here and there, but they will be able to farm at a particular area. If we do that, thank you, if we do that, we'll be able to accomplish Goal 2, which speaks to zero hunger, because we will know that once they are working together, they're going to generate more food. We would also improve food security. And then lastly, we will reduce, Liberia will be able to reduce the aspect of shifting cultivation. That is one of the main points to sustainable forest management. Thank you.
Again, my name is Alexander Poon, and I represent the Foundation for Community Initiatives. So, moving forward, I would like to speak to forest governance as relates to carbon stock and livelihood. But first, I would like to look at the issue issue around forest governance in Nigeria. So we go back to the National Forest Review Law of 2006, it put our forests into two parts, where we have conservation, conversion, and community. So we came down the way to 2017, where we passed the community rights law that gave community useful rights to forest. Now, under that law, it puts community in the position of government forests in a way that benefit the community. To do that, community must set up government structures. Those structures are set up for the community assembly, the legislative committee, the community forest management bodies for communities that own their forests, and then we have the community forest development committees for communities that operate on concessions. Looking at these different bodies that have the responsibility of managing community forests or working in the interest and benefit of communities, we are concerned that or we are contributing to global warfare and the most gender equality and women empowerment, these communities are not gender sensitive. So living in an environment where we have a male-dominant society, even the community rights law puts the inclusion of women to at least one woman on these communities. So putting that clause in the mind of a male-dominated society, it made most of them to think that only one community will get one woman they want to do. And we think that is not or way to promote gender equality in forest governance. We also think that there should be more encouragement and awareness for women to participate in the management of their community forests. So women needs to be aware, women needs to be encouraged, women needs to be empowered to partake in these elections that bring these different bodies to governance. Moving on to the carbon stock, I think communities need to understand first and foremost what carbon is and how they can take benefit from carbon that are generated from their community forests. Some of the institutions that are working around conservation with these communities are encouraging communities to preserve their forests because by preserving the forests, it gives them the opportunity to take their benefits that come from carbon. But what communities know about what the carbons are and what benefit they have from these carbon. Even most of us in this room will find it difficult to even know what carbon calculation is. So there needs to be a rule in the community so that the community that are preserving their forests for the benefit of reading carbon in return, profit in return, will have the chance to understand what it is to have a carbon market and also understand what it is to generate funding from this carbon stock. So what needs to be done when it comes to awareness in that area. And then finally, livelihood activities with the communities that we are working with, here at the international level, international business communities or private institutions that are sponsoring communities, we need to be realistic when it comes to livelihood activities that we are carrying out in these communities. There are communities under the laboratory sector project that have been sponsored through World. Over 50 of these communities, some of them are being introduced to livelihood activities. How sustainable are these livelihood activities are things that we need to teach forward to. Our communities the one making the decision as to what these livelihood activities are, or what are the decisions that are being made by we as possible communities. In order to have a process that the community can have trading or sustainable trading livelihood process, we need to sit along with communities to decide on some of these things that the community really needs. I give you an instance about some communities that are involved with beekeeping. However, they're beekeeping from making. So some of these communities have important to research and notice that even those materials that are provided to the communities to do the beekeeping, you can find the materials before you find the bee, and then find the water that are producing the bee. Because communities see it as a livelihood activities for them, so they don't keep more interest in it. So how can we work around that to ensure that these livelihood activities are directly community trading? And then finally to close, as I have 1 minute, I will also want to encourage communities to also be self-dependent. So most of the community owners structures that are set up, they have a time frame for their tenure. So how ideally we conducting the elections in the absence of the MD? We are looking for the MDR so many times complaining about the issue of logistics to get to these communities. So are the communities waiting for the MD to come and conduct these elections for them to have a full enforcement for structure, or they are taking the initiative to do this thing and recognize that they are the managers of their forest. So communities also have to go away from the self-dependency to move into self-dependency and now wait for everything to be done for them. Thank you very much.
Firstly, in the room, I want to find out who know what Red Plus is. I mean, people from forest community area.
Somebody just answer and say it's in the forest.
Okay. So the word Red Plus is REDD, right? It talks about reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. That's what red is. And the plus there represents conservation. So are we talking more on forest governance, a little bit on livelihood, and the issue of carbon?
All in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So the first thing we'll talk about forest governance. These are things that have called more attention. Most especially we'll talk about governance and we'll talk about forests. We'll talk about illegal loggings, right? Then we'll talk about forest governance. Now, how can we as indigenous people manage our own forests? Now that you have the Land Rights Act has passed and you have sole right to your forest, what can we do in order to manage our forests? So in that light, we all have a responsibility to tackle or manage our own forests now that we have the sole rights to do this. But what some recommendations from our end of the Red Plus, we support communities, the Red Plus support communities who want to sustainably manage their forests. Now, we talk about forest management. These things have been taking place long even before you and myself. But the war came and broke those societies that constituted them once upon a time. Once upon a time, our four grandparents, they tells you where you don't go fishing at a certain pool or a certain river at a certain time, right? That means that those fish over there are preserving them. They tell you that you cannot go to this side of the bush to do hunting. You cannot go here to farm at this time of the year or this part of the years. These were all sustainable farming. But nowadays, all those institutions has been broken and they are weak. So we need to put in strong laws, policies that guide the previous ones that they used to be before. What can we do to ensure sustainable forest management? There were several recommendations that I came up with. That is working towards establishing clear, specified, and documented legal rights on land management and use or usage. Okay? 2, pay attention to the proper rights for the less powerful affected on local levels, particularly women and the poor. Thirdly, we talk about clarify the legal status of community bodies in relation to forests and establish clear mechanism vis-a-vis the central government, not leaving the central government out, right? Establish a strengthened local enforcement mechanism to ensure ownership, turning rights through empowering people and using modern technologies. I talk about establishing a clear mechanism for the provision of and accessing of information. Recommendations. We talk about strengthening local participatory planning and decisions making, helping unorganized groups to assemble in association and give them a voice. Promote platforms that encourage local coordination and conflict management. encourage, assist, and participatory land use planning policy makers. So these are some recommendations that we thought that will work in terms of you managing your forest. Now that you also have rights to your forest. The issue of livelihood in forest communities is everyone's business. The more you keep your forest, the more valuable your community is, the more valuable the forest is. Let's take for example, if our grandparents have depleted the forest before our time, today we'll have no seat on the table to talk on the issue of forest. Today, we will not be seated here to even have discussions. So the issue of livelihood for your forest, I mean, it is of more value by keeping the forest itself and making your demands and your voices will be heard with regards to your demands, that you have something that someone else wants. Well, let me talk. Carbon is not something that we can easily talk or define at the moment because we don't even know who owns carbon rights at the moment. Those are things that need to be legislated because there's no carbon right law or who owns the carbon. Secondly, there has been no benefit mechanism put into place as to how the distribution of carbon or credit that will be sold, how is it going to be distributed within the communities, with central government, and whosoever that is initiating the carbon market. So in those areas, there should be policies. We need to carve policies as to carbon rights. Who owns the carbon? Is it the state or the community? Because community also have the land, right? So carbon rights policy needs to be crafted, and we need to have a benefit mechanism that gives the community a clear picture of as to what benefits go to community, what benefit goes to central government.
He also talked about appreciable literature. He tells how many of us know what it is, especially with those schools. That's why you see I asked you the question. You know that Ganta, teacher?
Oh, sorry, right? You say that teacher teaching. So he asking us how many of us know about the Sdg Goals. If we know, especially looking at the 5th and that of the 15th. And now, smartly, somebody was able to tell us about Goal 5. And I remember they said what? Gender equality, inclusion of women and everything. He also talked about the life on land. And the life on land is related to Goal what? Now you got it. So that's our next speaker is trying to define sustainable forest management. He also said to us that our country is way behind. And good, I said it before and I'm saying it. When he said that, I'll be like, so my question I wrote, so what are you doing as an individual? Since our country is way behind, you as an individual trying to make progress and help get from that stage of backwardness, what are you doing to form part of Liberia coming forward in terms of sustainable forest management? But then he came back to us to tell us that there were no cooperatives, but however in Maryland County, correct? In Maryland County, there's so these cooperatives are actually trying to see how best they can work together to reduce the deforestation that our country actually undergoes. So, and then now moving to the 4th, we talk about forest governance and then you look at the communities on these things. Now that he spoke about gender inclusion, considering we women, I know normally when they talk about gender inclusion, all of us can look at the fact that women are being part of it. Is that it? And one main thing. But now we want to bring women involved. So then my question will go back, why if it is so women and there's no men? But it has to be a balance still when you have people from different regions into it at the same time discussing an issue. But now it's not on a sympathetic level. You have to encourage more women because now more women are being left behind, but at this point we are on side to side a little. So he talked about encouraging women, empowering them, and making them aware. That was for education and awareness as well in getting a sense of inclusion. On carbon credit, he asked what it is and how can we get this shared benefits. Again, we go back to awareness raising. Now the last speaker. Sorry. Okay, yeah, he starts something about realistic livelihood. That is key. And let's be real. Some of our projects nowadays, we sit at the top, discuss and how we can give back to the community. We're all that getting the community's member involved to know what's the form of livelihood and how sustainable it can be. I'm Joan Brown. I'm in this community like West Point. You say you want to take me from West Point because it has suggest in a way and it protects my livelihood is with the sea, and now because of the erosion you want to relocate me. Good. You take me carrying to Mount Point. And then you tell me, say, okay, I'm going to give you cash benefit in a way. I have like a research, maybe probably you tell me to do business. I'm not good at business. And I lavish that on the wellness. I will go back to find a spot in West Point and get it on. So we have to be very inclusive when it comes to livelihood decision making. And as he has been, the people who are affected or who are part of it to try to come back on the table to get rid of that. With the Red Plus, what the Red Plus is, somebody say? Reduce emission. Deforestation. Forest what? So you still gonna land degradation. Okay, I just want to get it right so everybody here can know what it is. And with the Red Plus, the speaker told us that we all have responsibility. Everybody here have their own responsibility, and when he said that, he tried to list some of those recommendations that we can venture in. Probably is his recommendation or his recommendation from this conversation to the national government or from his institution to national government, but they are all key. So supporting different communities, he talked about an institution of memory that were lost. And now this is some problem. We want to sit on the old mat to plant the new one. And the only way we can do that is to know what exactly our forefathers, our ancestors did that worked better for them. So if they had not, say let's preserve this, let's protect the environment. We said that you're talking nothing, and that was key. I don't want to answer, I don't want to go too deep. So at this point, you will have closing. Trust me, I know I kind of cheated Joel in a way, yes, because I didn't want it to tell you, so I was just thinking I took too long. But however, we'll open it for question and answer. Oh, you talk about carbon, yeah, we'll come back to that. I will see carbon rights, right? You talk about carbon rights, and then you said should be the carbon policy rights. Rights policy, I twist it around. Yeah, it needs to be crafted, and once it's crafted, then we know who owns it. Right? Okay. That will do. If I need anything or they will clarify it, I need a trial for me. We'll take 5 questions. And let's note, I want all of the panelists here to answer a question. Let them answer a question. So if James Brown asks a question, the people are accessible. We can always meet them, we can talk to them, continue engaging them. So let's ask all of the questions across the table, please. Let's do the first 5. 1. Don't tell me I'm there already. I supported the word. 2. 3. The third 2 might come later. If not, I will ask. Okay, so let's hear from you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My questions are just related to the D4 restrictions. It will not be a specific questions, but it will be the comments along with the question line. you are talking about the deforestation. For example, you have 1,000 individual farmers, and that would be about 1,000 acres acres of land. And if we pull them into a group, maybe it'll be about 5 to 10 acres of land where they will continue to farm there consistently. My question here is, what are you doing as a community inhabitant besides CDA organizing the farming groups? Since you already know those challenges, and the government alone will not solve those challenges, and you already know that if you pull those groups together and then educate them one way or the other as a community, as a part of the social, part of the community, and you have a social responsibility, what will you do in terms of in contributing your own quota to library development and protecting our forest?
Mine is not a question per se, but it's also just to provide information. In the cooperative in Liberia, really, like farmer coming together to make cooperative farm does not feed the household, the individual household, you know. So I encourage farmers that are farming in those areas. We just need to provide education to them to farm the best way, to do crop rotation, to do cropping pattern properly, to improve the land use. But cooperative farming, individual going to cooperative farm, at the end of the day, they will not support their individual life or their family or their household.
Okay, my question is going to the Rep Plus. Yeah, you talk about conservation. That is to keep the forest. And we believe that our people live on the forest. They farm on the forest. They got medicines from the forest. They got rope from the forest to tie their kitchens. And you are saying you should leave the forest. And you also inform us about the carbon is not yet been calculated to know what are you doing to make our people to leave the forest when they depending on the forest for these things. What is your entity doing so that can help our people to leave the forest?
Thank you, everybody. I think we will start here for now and then turn to our panelists to answer our questions.
Starts with you.
Of course.
FTI. Like I said, FTI is a school that belongs to you, me, belongs to Liberia. Now thinking of becoming regional center of excellence for forestry in West Africa, meaning that your children can come and acquire the knowledge, and then we'll be able to share with other people. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Yeah, it's a 1 minute.
Oh yeah,
1 minute. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I thought it was less than that. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. What I just want to leave with us is from all of the deliberations here today, plus what we did here, I just want to let us know that it is important that we Liberians start to put ourselves in a position where we can start solving our own problems. The world is not our solution. We will look to them to help us, but we should learn to solve our own problems, whether it's from the economy, climate change, forestry or forest conservation, or whatever the issue is. We need to work together as Liberians to solve our problem. Let's have a problem-solving mindset. Thank you.
Thank you. He answering question.
Yes,
answering
yeah.
question. So 2.5.
Okay, thank you. So the question was, as a inhabitant of my community, what am I doing to contribute to sustainable forest management. So my brother, to your question, let me quickly let you know that I'm part of a cooperative and I'm a business manager of that cooperative. It's called the Biofarmer Cooperative. We're Christian now there in the background. Okay, the text to that has the CXC, that's the County Agriculture Coordinator, because he was part of that cooperative program where my cooperative was certificated as a cooperative on the CDA principles. And currently within Maryland County, I can tell you that I'm working with about 1,000 farmers from 32 towns around Maryland County. With that, we are engaging governments and other partners and donor people that we can educate farmers on the necessary means and then how they can be able to be part of a cooperative that we can eradicate the issues of shifting cultivation within Maryland County that will help to reduce the destruction of our forests within Maryland County. Now for my closing statement, let me extend my thanks and appreciation to the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, for this unique program, and then also to UNDP for their facilitating and supporting role play. We are thankful as young people and as librarians for this initiative and hope that this will be a continuous process. But as a Marylander, I also want to appeal that the Environmental Protection Agency will not also, they will not always stop Upper Liberia. There are citizens in the Southeast. The last time we have this program again for Environmental Protection Agency, it was here in Banka, and today we are in Compass. So please, the Southeast people of Maryland need your pricing. Thank you.
So to respond to the question about how well are the communities so far as it relates to the library activities that carry out in these communities. So I will tell you there are two ways to this question. One of them is that these activities are brought to the communities and the communities are trained in, for example, one regulation of beekeeping, for example. Or the community will see this activity and say, this is a library activity that this community can do. The community itself that training and one of these communities and they start the process. But again, because the sustainability of that beekeeping or the life or the style of life of the community is not about beekeeping, it will be about farming. They will show more interest in doing farming activities than beekeeping activity. But because you will take it out to your community, you don't say to you, you will work on it, thinking that you will lose that, and you personally working with that community to accept it. So that can also be placed on the community also to be clear about what they want as library activities, and that is accepting everything that is working for library activities. The second part of it also is what we give to the community as library activity. I give you another example. In the Stockholm National Park, after the war, there were artisan miners or miners in the park. There was a project to get rid of these miners from the park. So the guys and the organization started together and said the easier way to get us from here is to give us money. So they started to pay these artisan miners money to leave the park. They collected the money and left the park for some time. By the time they carried the money out of the park and used it finished, they returned to the park and started to receive mining activities. So the way to these library activities is both dependent on the way the community responds to this activity and the kind of library activities that are brought to the community. I think that will help to answer the question. So if the question, you will really is one that the most users of our forests are the women. And we think that to have a gender equality and women empowerment for sustainable forest management, we should invest more in how we can include women in forest governance. Of the more than 50 community forests that we have in our country, even up to communities that are on the forest management contract, I can only recall of one community that has a female as chief officer. That is the River Antisari Community Forest. So the rest of them are
So I'm going to respond to your questions in terms of the people who depend on the forest and what are we doing. So normally developers, before having an area as a conservation area, there are demarcations called the buffer zone that is being created. So they are not taking the entire forest from you, but you have space where you can also do your farming, where you can go for your non-forestry products, that is NTFB, your medication and all these things, you can take them from there. You have those areas that are accessible to you. Not just that, but before those places are called or protected areas within the forest community areas, communities are allowed to sit on the table. There are roundtable discussions within each of the communities. There's a national dialogue that takes place, consultation that takes place, outlining what the community wants in return. And these commitments are put into an MOU that is signed, and there we have institutions that takes responsibility in terms of how they go about in responding to the needs of the communities. Now, let's talk a little about the forest. There are other ways, even by preserving the forest, to make money as a community giver. So I'll give one way, even communities being part of the forest guards. Community are also given those privileges. Forest community within or around the park are given those privileges. So even with conserving your forest, you also have the issue of tourism. That also gives you an income for the community. You have the issues of generating revenue both locally and for central government. So preserving your forest, it has a huge benefit, not just from logging. You even get more benefit from conservation, and you still have the trees there, and the children will come and see them. On the issue of carbon ownership, you asked what are we doing? Presently, from the side of the technical working group, we are working towards engaging policymakers on how we can come out with the issue of carbon policy that will guide the process and that of also benefit sharing at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, so we go one side, clapping in.
The clapping on one side. The room is full. People are yelling abstention. However, we want to say this is how this session comes to an end. We want to thank our panelists who spoke eloquently on enhancing sustainable forest management in the context of governance, carbon economy, gender inclusion, and gender equity, women empowerment, talking about livelihood, forest, and community. So we will use this time to not forget my city time.
Nice to leave. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I don't know, we're supposed to have gender inclusion here.
I know.
On the small community, nobody had gender inclusion because I was writing. We teach it around somewhere. But special thanks also all of our panelists.
Say thank you, we appreciate you.
And at this time, for those that are outside,
Those who are here, they're sorry because the gate was so bad. I do not get
yes, do mommy. Today, it's up
So we'll do the
closing, and then we have remarks. So I will, in a way that with their participant, you and feel, and then
EPA, and then we have
you and and that's it.
Okay, so let me turn on all the time. So let me thank all of you for being able to participate in these discussions. I think the discussions have been very fruitful. I saw the coordinator and other persons here documenting the views and recommendations that came from these discussions. And you can rest assured that they will find their way in the final Stockholm prospective report that will be generated from Nigeria. There is on UNDP's Spark Group page that still gives you additional opportunity to make further inputs, recommendations, or suggestions. So you just have to go to the UNDP page and check for the Stockholm page. You have the opportunity to make inputs. There's also a UNDP website on Facebook as well as EPA website that allows you opportunity to make your input. So thank you very much. We have between now and June for the global meeting which will take place in Stockholm. And we hope that some of you will be able to even attend that meeting in Stockholm. On the logistical note, let me inform you that the participant lists were finalized this morning with all of you here signed. UNDP made provisions for those of you who came from other counties. Your arrival last night DSA is covered. One additional day DSA is covered for today, as well as transportation. So for example, those coming from Monrovia got $40 for transportation in addition to their DSA. There's also mobile money transfer fees also calculated in that DSA. I've just spoken with the finance department at UNDP. The payment request was submitted to Echo Bank today, but Echo Bank is heavily loaded with salary payment for different agencies. So they've just provided feedback that by tomorrow morning, the DSA payment will be loaded to your phones. So that is it from the logistical standpoint. If you have any issues with your DSA, all you need to do is to follow up with me. And you can rest assured that your DSA will be paid. Thank you. But everyone who signed in here will receive their DSA. The link was finalized and submitted since 10 a.m. this morning. Thank you.
This city to be compact. For and on behalf of the CEO and the executive director and the management team, I think this and coming here so we can discuss after 50 years of Stockholm declaration to see how we can make our individual. What I appreciate most about this is the process is inclusive. It brings together people from all walks of life. I want to let you know that there are a lot of information. Some of you in the area of research, students, other who get information on the environment. There is a platform called EANS, the Environmental Knowledge Platform. Just Google